just something else.
Exactly. And if you have a question during Franck's presentation, please use the chat and we will come back to the question afterwards. And if you agree on things, thumbs up. If you don't like some things, thumbs down. And yeah, that's it. The presentation is going to be around 15 minutes, right? And then we'll have 15 minutes for Q&A.
Okay. All right. So today we're going to talk about brands. I hope everybody hears me. Just say if you have some issues. But we're going to talk about brands and obviously in the context we're all living in right now. So just a few words about Neon 42. Neon 42 is a global brand consultancy, so based in Amsterdam, but we are helping the brands to reshape or to reinvent themselves, to build a great ecosystem, to convert people into really hardcore fans that we call hardcore fans. All right. And well, the period is very tense, right? And it's difficult for the brands to really consider how to support people or how to understand what's going on right now. So we're going to go through a couple of tips. So the situation, everybody knows it. I'm not going to go into details. The coronavirus has shaken the foundations of our social and economic coexistence. Yeah. It's quite complicated right now to understand exactly what's going on. But while most of the brands, they want to do good and not to profit from the pain all around, it's quite complicated to understand what to do, right? One thing that is important is that if you benchmark with the crisis in 2018, the brands that were active during the crisis it was easier for them to get back in the game 9 times faster than the other ones. So it's all about understanding what your brand can do. But of course, there is uncertainty about everything, about yourself, about your company, about your projects, about everything, your family, health, etc. So I'm not pretending today to bring any solutions or to bring any information about how to be happy right now. But I can propose you a process, a simple process for the brands and the companies to turn uncertainty to risk. What is the difference between uncertainty and risk? Uncertainty is like when you are in the unknown. It's like you don't know what's going on. And risk is about at least you know few things and then you can take a decision to do one thing or another, but it's going to be a risk. It's going to be something that you know that you took the decision to go for it. So that's pretty important. This is the scheme that we put in place with 4 stages of development. Stage number 1 being learning, stage number 2 supporting, stage number 3 celebrating, and then scaling after the crisis, right? So you understand about learning, it's about understanding the new reality from economics to consumers. Supporting is about what the brands are doing now and how you can support the community, support the people through your services, products, communication, etc. Stage 3, celebrating. I hope we will celebrate pretty soon. Sooner than later. But it's going to be a moment, at least, where the brands will have to reconnect with the consumers. Yeah, they're going to have to restart a new relationship. And scaling, obviously, it's about what to do for the future. What this crisis is going to change for the brand world. Well, we're almost kind of here. I don't know, you see this red dot. We are still in the supporting phase, but in some countries, the situation is getting better. So, well, the confinement in Europe, for example, is going easier and easier every day. We will see what's going on, but it's still the moment to do something. So, learning and understanding. Well, the first thing, and I think most of the companies that did it, is it's really about understanding what is your company status. What about your staff? What about your partners? Or what about your sales department? What about, I mean, obviously everybody's working from home. There are some cash flow difficulties. You need to make a real understanding of where you are right now to make sure that you understand what your brand can bring on, right? And obviously digital transformation is a little bit kind of a big deal right now because everybody's spending, I believe, 3 to 7 hours a day on their computers and on their phones. So obviously this is a big thing. The first tip is really to go back to the brand culture. If you have a brand culture, that obviously is helping. You have to, your brand has to be a solid rock in the storm, right? And the brand culture is really your foundation. This is who you are and what is your big idea about what you can bring to the world, etc. And actually your employees are very important into that. So brand culture, go back to it, get back to the fundamentals. Then brand articulation. So this is this thing about like vision and mission, and everybody loves all those nice articulations of brands with the values and so on. This is definitely time to go back to it also. And I would say the most important is to get back to your purpose. Yeah, why you do what you do. And this is the test, like the crash test right now. Am I doing something that is relevant right now and maybe in the future? This is very important. Well, consumers are changing. We call them the consumer zero. I think it's pretty, it's like the patient zero. It's a little bit weird, but consumer zero is because, yeah, I mean, the consumers are changing. They have new needs, new habits, new desires, but also new fears. And you have to get back to them. You have to reassess who they are, what they are waiting for, what they would like to do. It's the moment of really getting close to them and understand exactly what it is all about. So sorry, I'm speeding up a bit, but we will happy to share the deck after the presentation. So now we have the second stage, which is the supporting stage. Sorry. So you have to be extremely careful. The creativity around your brand has never been so important than right now. You need to be empathic, you need to be subtle, you need to be conscious of the situation, and you have to really understand all the brand spectrum, the brand ecosystem around you, from internal culture, internal communication, to something that is also going to the consumers and the communities. Don't be afraid to kill a lot of ideas right now, because even if it sounds really cool, a lot of the ideas are falling flat because the people are reacting extremely tough right now, because it's difficult, right, for the people. So you can also decide not to do anything. This is a choice, but you have to measure the impact on your brand in the long term. So we've identified 7 different patterns. I'm going to go very quickly into them about brands communicating or creating activation. So the first one is about supporting the front line. So it's about supporting the workers that are helping us every day, not only in the hospitals, but everywhere. And this is very important. The second one is about repurposing your production. I think one of the best examples was at the beginning of the crisis, LVMH in France changed their supply chain for fragrances, and they started to do hand sanitizer. So, for example, if you are in a business that is not at all about the crisis, about health, still you can try to find solution, right? And even beer brands are starting to do some sanitizer, which is quite nice. The third one is about aiding the vulnerable. yeah, we don't leave the crises all on the same level. Some people are quite privileged, depending on the countries, depending on the situation overall. Your brand can help the people that are the most in need. Because not everybody's got a garden, not everybody's got a balcony, not everybody has money, to deal with everything. So, for example, here we have a couple of examples of supermarket chains like Sainsbury's in UK, Iceland, Lidl, and Tesco. In fact, they are dedicating shopping hour for the elderly. So obviously, the older people are a little bit more in danger, I would say. Sorry for the dramatic notion, but so they keep some time for them to go to the supermarket without, with all the, social, physical distancing thing, etc., etc. So this is very important. Amplifying the World Health Organization advice. So here it's about reminding the people, and I think it was pretty well done all over, but also the brands were very, very interesting on the topic. For example, in China, Barbie from Mattel, Barbie, was explaining through WeChat and Weibo in China. They were explaining how to wash your hands, to put the mask, to stay at the social distancing, etc. So I think it was pretty cute for the children because it's very nice. The fifth one is, we are all mostly at home. Yeah, I mean, depending on the countries, we are at home not by choice at all. Yeah, so it's about helping the people to transfer some activities to home environments. And I think here there is a nice example of Burger King in France as well. Sorry, I'm a French dude. In France as well, where they did a couple of tweets and couple of communications explaining how to make a great Whopper. During the restaurants were closed, but you could buy in the supermarkets all the ingredients to make a great Whopper. So they were kind of selecting for you. And it was very nice because they were even promoting some other brands, which is, it's not about your brand only, it's about also the community and how the other brands can help each other also to get through that. The sixth one is about maximizing moments of happiness. We have to support people's mental well-being. This is pretty tough. The pressure is on. It's pretty difficult. So unfortunately, I don't have time to show you the examples, but Jack Daniels did something very nice about, I'm sure you've done that, all of you, some, drinks on Zoom and on Skype and stuff like that. So yeah, this is pretty nice how we can give a bit of love, give a bit of support to the people that are maybe alone, maybe, a little bit weaker during this period. And there is another one, the last one. It's about creating new channel, some new entertainment. And this is something that was launched, I think, yesterday or the day before. Heinz created a puzzle with 570 pieces. But the great thing about it is that it's only, all the pieces are red color, like Heinz ketchup, red color. So you're gonna take at least 3 days to finish the puzzle, which is kind of nice right now because we don't have much to do, right? I mean, yes, we are busy. Some of us are really busy and they are struggling with the children and so on. But still, when you have a bit of a me moment, you can do the Heinz puzzle for a couple of hours, which is pretty funny. About celebrating, this is quite the starting point of the unknown situation. It's going to be the moments where obviously there will be a sort of we will be back to a sort of sense of normal. I don't want to talk about the second wave of the virus. I don't want to talk about that. But at some point we will feel that, okay, the worst is a kind of behind. There is a bit of relief with the consumers. And I think this is the moment where the brands will have to use all their full empathy and respect to reconnect with them. And when I'm saying that, it's not about immediately proposing some promotions and say, hey, our brand is doing that, like aggressively pushing something. But it's mostly about, hey, this is we are here, we were here, we are still here, and we want to make sure that everybody's all right, and we want to talk to the consumers in a more open-minded way. And I think this is what we call sometimes the new world. I don't know if it's going to happen, to be honest, but at least the brand should lead, should walk the talk and say, yes, this is how we're gonna do it now. About scaling, by the way, there is Michael Jordan on my slide right now. I really recommend you on Netflix, The Last Dance. This is, I mean, if you are a fan of basketball, and not only, this is amazing, amazing documentary. So, okay, so the situation is pretty harsh, right? I mean, a lot of big consulting companies started to define the impact of coronavirus on our economies. This is, you just see on the left, again, I will share with you the McKinsey and Company, McKinsey scenario plans, yeah, about the economic impact. Well, to be honest, I didn't go into details, it's quite complex, but what I observed is one thing. One fact is for sure. The next month are going to be extremely challenging. We're going to have a drop. Whatever we want it or not, we're going to have a dramatic drop. And I'm not even talking here about unemployment and social distress, etc. Sorry to give you all those terrible things in your mind, but yeah, we're going to have to face something. And the brands that are going to cope the best in this challenging phase are the brands that will definitely rethink who they are and what they want to do. And so what will be the role of your brand? What would be the added value of what you propose to the people? How are you going to adapt and fit to the new paradigm of the consumers? Yeah. So you need to reassess a lot of things, because even if a lot of things will come back like as usual, like business as usual, a lot of things also will be changing. So you have to really understand, and it's not easy right now, but you have to start right now to make sure that you are, you are making the right choices. To make the right choices, what we are used to do is scenario planning. Unfortunately, I can't go much into details, but there are 3 steps. The first step is obviously all the stimulus and the information that you gathered at the beginning of, you remember this scheme, all the consumer insights, the new trends, the weak signals, some articles, benchmarks as well are really cool. You will have to use this to create some scenarios of where your brand is gonna guide you and your company, right? So then in terms of, it can be workshops and sessions where in fact we can work on the, how to clutter the trends, how to assess them, understand how they work. There is a good framework that you can Google actually today or this weekend, the PESTLE framework. It's about understanding how the political, economical, social, technological, environmental, and legal surrounding is going to change, right? So this is very important. And I wanted to ask to add the HEC framework: health, education, and culture. And then we can develop some scenario. I'm going to go a bit faster because it was a bit longer than planned. So here you see the timeline of your brand development, or not development, but like crisis thing. So you see that it's not only about reacting now, but it's also about preparing the future. So what you can do, in fact, after this presentation, is like to think about what kind of action or what kind of brand will you craft for for the future. So how would you respond to the consumer truth? How you can have a short-term activation, but also to have a bigger long-term vision that could be relevant after the crisis. Just an example for you, and you will have time to, of course, to think about it. I was talking to some friends, and they were saying that right now they were feeling guilty to focus on their work while the children are, are just at home, like playing and making some noise and not being very happy. So I was thinking about Mattel maybe creating an activation about promoting or creating a collection of toys, providing a maximum of fun while also calming down the children or avoiding noise or something like that. And then I had a look to the brand Mattel and the purpose of Mattel. I mean, the mission is everyone plays. But maybe it's not about everyone plays. It's about maybe caring about everyone's fun, So you see, again, I'm not working for Mattel, so I'm not saying anything. But it's kind of some thinking that you can have for yourself. Sorry, I was a bit long. I would be happy to hear your thoughts and your questions, and maybe some brands that you want to have maybe a little indication about. Sorry, I'm just gonna keep the. Yeah, so you can unmute yourself, I imagine. Yeah, Ophélie, yeah, it's okay.
Yes, of course, you can unmute yourself, and if you have some fireside question, maybe Frank, you can stop the presentation.
Sorry.
So that we can see everyone.
Okay.
No problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
anybody?
Oh, I had actually posted a couple of questions on the chat already, but I can mention them again.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, go for it. I'm happy.
Yeah. All right. I think first was actually just out of curiosity. I took a chance to look at the website of Neon 42, and it seemed a bit interesting how it's just a simple page and it has a presentation link to it. I was just curious, like, any particular reason for that?
Sorry, I didn't get the second part of the question.
Oh yeah, it's just that your website was quite peculiar. I looked at it before our conversation.
Okay.
And it's just you go to it's just a page and then it has a presentation link to it. I've never seen something like that before.
Okay. Well, it's just a technical choice. I didn't want to have a website that is kind of definite. So by having a presentation that is linked to a deck on Google Docs, I can adapt depending on what's going on. I can put some other information, etc. So it's not about, I believe that it's not about being certain, like because the website they create it on a certain point and then it's the same website for 2 to 3 years. I prefer to make it changing on a regular basis.
And my second thing was like, and this is not exactly a brand specific question, but in this scenario, how are you still getting new brands in your portfolio, or how are you approaching identifying new brands for Neon 42?
I think it's not really on the topic right now, but
yes, but that's fine. If
I think it's not really on the topic of brands in coronavirus crisis about my how to create leads and referrals. But yeah, it's mostly like that. Yeah, people are talking.
I will keep that for some other time. Then.
Yeah. Okay.
No problem.
Anybody else? Another question?
It's did you see this compilation of ads that brands created reacting to the coronavirus, and then I think it kind of slides in all of these ads of different brands, and they all kind of say the same thing. I'm just wondering your thoughts on that and how you think and what brands can do that.
I'm going to be very honest with you. It's very funny because it was supposed to be in the presentation about the importance to be yourself and not to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
Because of the time restriction, I couldn't really, because it's like a 4-minute
Of course. Yeah.
video, so I couldn't put it. But I will put it back to the deck, and people will see it when I will send it. So it's true that this is the typical example of the brands that they want to do good. It's great. They want to really cheer up the people. They want to make sure that people are getting, mental support and so on. But they forgot about who they are and why they exist. And this is the most important. I've got a client. They said, "Hey, we want to donate money to hospitals." It's a great idea. It's lovely. I mean, of course, they need money to buy masks and protection and so on. But think about how to do it with your own brand beliefs. Because if you just give money, this is great. You can do it, but don't take it as a communication thing. You can do it better, right?
Yeah.
Because you are a technological brand, maybe you are a FMCG brand, and so you can give money in a different way that is really about you and what you believe in. And this is the problem of this video. Is like everybody's saying, "Oh, the world is nice. Soon we're gonna come back." But yeah, I mean, I can say that to you as well. I mean, and I'm not a brand, right? So that's
So basically, what you're saying is they forgot their true kind of own brand identity in this
so.
process.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thank you.
So I think we have a few minutes more. I mean, if you want to.
Yeah, we're a little bit over time, guys. But if you have one last question, we still have 3 minutes. So if any of you, Jane?
I thought it was really interesting, but I think the things that I feel is that actually my values they've not changed because they were on. If we looked at it in all honesty, a lot of the things that were trending in the way we behave and in the way probably thinkers are, all of those things were happening. So this seems to have been like the biggest tipping point ever. And I think that a lot of the markets will have changed. I don't think they'll change a lot. It depends how long this goes on for, as to how major the behavior in change is. I thought the Mattel thing was really interesting, but I wrote down, be human and play with them. That way, sitting in front of your screen, creating work that you don't really need to do, at this point in history, when you're at home with your children, who are probably the greatest teachers of what's coming next, is the most major missed opportunity there will ever be for any person involved in anything. And it was funny, the other day, a family walked by and the kids were so excited. And I said, "What's gone on?" They said, "We just dissected an adder." And the mum was going, the mum is a scientist, so she was like, "This homeschooling, we didn't do spelling, we did dissecting an adder," and they'd all learned something. And I think we learn a lot from our children. My son is my best teacher. I know more about the culture because I ask him how it looks from a 25-year-old's perspective, because his perspective is so completely different to mine. My cultural experiences are so much, they've been, they're deeper and longer, and we need to share. So I think you've got some great stuff there, but I think we've changed. I think the scalability thing is really interesting, but do we want to scale up or scale down and scale deeper and more local?
Yeah.
Do we want to invest? What's happening here, the things that are working are where people are building local companies, where they're actually serving the local market, because people can't go very far. So now the local food deliverers are doing really well. And then things that are actually working on a bigger basis are things like some of the breweries, like there's a small brewery called Wadworth in Devizes, have set up a page called The Henry, which is an online pub. And everyone is sharing on it's like going to the pub. People are sharing banter and jokes. And what they'll be doing is they're not actually even providing the content, they're providing the platform, and the people are rocking up and sharing it, and it's delivering on number 6 and number 7 of your presentation really well.
Mhm.
So I think actually we need to kind of step away from what we've been doing quite dramatically, even the McKinsey things. You know, actually, I'm really glad that all of those things show that we're going to tank. I come from a generation where everything was more expensive. You paid a bit more, you got it repaired. We have a program in the UK called the Repair Shop, which everybody loves because people take their old things and get them fixed.
Mhm.
And a lot of the things that we talked about at Think, you know, it feels as if they're kind of coming true, albeit in a not a particularly nice way, but maybe this was the only way we would actually stop. And we do need to stop. And with some brands, the thing I would say is don't say anything at the moment. If you don't have anything to say nothing.
Oh yeah, of course.
Your brand, and then when you're ready, come back. But come back with a kind of, you know, one of the first things you said was about, you know, it was about that uncertainty. And I think a lot of us will want a story that we understand. A lot of brands will succeed on memory because we've been buying them for such a long time, like the Heinz thing, you know, that way. There are brands that were in our family's cupboards that we will instinctively go back to because we have a long-term relationship with them.
No, it's definitely.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, so, thank you. But yeah, it's definitely a moment of truth. Are we all the brands? I mean, if we claim that all the brands will change after, I think it's not going to happen this way. But at least the consumers will be a new form of asking for different things. So people will definitely have to. I mean, brands will definitely have to adapt. So it's not going to change in one day or in 1 year, but I think it's a wake-up call for all of us. Now it's all about what we want to do with it. And I like the fact that you say, yeah, I mean, children, I mean, it's incredible how resilient and optimistic and, you know, and they are, and we can learn from them. Yeah, it's pretty interesting what's this fact as well. So yeah, this is obviously something we have to prepare, and it's not easy. It's not easy for sure. Ophélie, yeah, I think yeah.
No, I think we're good. It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you for staying until the end. And we look forward to see you maybe again on another TechMakers event. And if you have any question, don't hesitate to reach out. We're available on every platform. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.